Men of the Voca Vacay global family, hear my words and believe me when I say this. Have you ever been with a woman who just looks at you as if you do not sing, dance, and move and look like Ricky Martin?
Oh, my.
You're blushing. I swear you're blushing right now.
Oh, my.
This all began, the Ricky Martin references began simply because we were doing this program or this episode, and we thought, we're going to do it on Portugal.
Right. Because we went to Lisbon.
Yeah.
And so we started coming up with names that were like Portugal.
Yeah, like party in Portugal and drinking port in Portugal and portly in Portugal.
Yeah, because I ate a whole lot of food there.
No, so did
Yeah.
I. And then we realized, no. It's like the Barcelona thing. We did a show in Barcelona. It's like, well, we didn't do Spain. We did Barcelona.
Right, because we didn't go anywhere else in Portugal. We just went to Lisbon.
And Lisbon. So we came with lovely Lisbon, loving Lisbon.
Living it up in Lisbon.
Then that became living la Lisbon Loca. Living la Lisbon Loca.
No.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was stuck in my head all day.
Yeah, and so the next thing you know, so now we're just singing this all around the house. I start doing the dance, and I realize that I do not apparently dance, sing, or look like Ricky Martin.
It was cute.
Yeah. Oh, I get cute. This is one incredibly fit dude, and I just get cute. Okay, yeah, fine.
He's fit. He's a good-looking dude. He gets paid to be good-looking.
Yeah.
You get paid to be smart.
I get paid to sound good. That being said, we're going to go into Lisbon, Portugal. It's a wonderful city. We got to check it out. We got all the deets in just a second. That's Maria over there.
That's Frank.
Voca Vacay starts right now.
Prepare yourself for the bestest, amazingest, and overall super duperest travel program in the history of ever. Vacation like it's your job and live vicariously through yourself. It's time now for Voca Vacay.
Every single time we do a new episode of Voca Vacay, we do a shout out to our newest, bestest buddies globally because four new countries have joined the ever-expanding Voca Vacay family.
I love making new friends.
Yeah, me too. They are Egypt. Check that out, Northeast Africa.
Perfect.
Laos, which is Southeast Asia. Brazil, which is in Brazil.
Oh.
And Bhutan, which I think is over by Nepal and India and China. It's up in there in the Himalayan mountains.
Man, that's super cool.
Check you guys out. So thank you so much for playing along. We really are glad to have you with us.
Yes, I'm so excited to have new people listening.
There's a guy in Bhutan right now who's like, oh, what are they talking about this week? Well, Bhutan, we'll tell you and everybody else, we're talking about Lisbon.
Living the Lisbon Loca.
Now that song's in my head. Here's what happened. So let me explain before I explain.
Yes.
What happened was that we got a really good deal on Delta.
Oh, it was so good.
And it was to go to Lisbon, Portugal.
I mean, it's like kind of thing you can't say no to.
Yeah. And so they're like, you want to go? It's like, yeah, we had some time. Let's go. Now,
yeah.
So that happens. Then we realize that there's a trip we can take before that, the MSC cruise, which if you go to vocavacay.com, you can hear all the episodes. We went there. We did 4-part series. The end result is this. We're in Europe for a while, for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Then we come back on a Friday night.
Yeah.
And we have to turn around, do our laundry basically, and go back to Europe on a Tuesday early morning.
Right.
So we can pick off Lisbon. I know this sounds like a problem.
I know, but it kind of was. That's what happens when you do a good deal, though. You get sucked in and you're like, we have those dates free. Clearly, nothing will be flanking it.
No.
Then you're like, wait, I'm in Europe and I got to come back and then I got to go back.
The irritation factor was at an all-time high. It's like, what? And I know I don't want to complain about this, but it's like, you have to go to Europe again. It's like, dude, I was so tired.
Well, no, here's the deal. And we didn't talk about this before when we were prepping for the show.
Right.
We proper had to come back because of our animals.
Yes.
And so we would have just maybe said, forget about it. We'll just pick somewhere else.
We'll just, hang
and
out.
go for a couple, 2-3 days and then scoot on over to Lisbon.
Make it work.
But we also bought our tickets so that they originated out of the U.S. as well.
Yeah.
So there were reasons for which we had to do it how we did it.
Yeah, we had to come back.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you come back from one trip and you got to turn around very quickly and go to another trip, you realize, well, there's no food in the fridge. We have stripped the cupboards bare. There's no food anyplace.
There's no point in buying any. You're going to leave in 48 hours.
So we come back, and the next thing you know is that we sleep, we wake up, we're jet lagged. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and you demanded that we go to Waffle House.
I believe the Uber drops us off. It was a long flight coming back. I think you gain time when you come back. Like it always feels longer coming back than when you go over. And so we get out of the Uber. It's like 7, 8 o'clock. I come in, I crash out. Mm-hmm. And then I wake up at 3 o'clock. I'm like, wake up. I'm hungry.
Okay.
Where you want to go? Waffle House.
Wahoo's open.
I needed some good, hearty American food. Sweet Georgia brown. I needed me some hash brown, scatter covered, smothered. I needed me some biscuits and gravy. I needed a fried egg, and I needed some pecan waffle. That's what I needed, and I had to have it now.
That's what you got.
You married all this.
You're not fat. You're well-rounded.
This is why I'm fat, is because I love me some Waffle House. Now, I can't eat there all the time, but when you come back from a trip and it's the food of America that is calling you this hearty breakfast.
Like a siren song.
Yes, it's an American breakfast. That's where you go.
Saying, whoa. So we went.
Yes.
And we just ate out all weekend long. That's like, okay, do the laundry, repack the bag, which is awkward, get back on the plane. Go over. It's Tuesday morning, early.
Yes.
We go to Lisbon Airport. And Lisbon Airport, by the way, shout out to these guys who did an amazing job. If you're the Lisbon Civil Aviation Authority dude, good on you, because you really nailed it.
We got in and out of this airport probably easier than any other airport we've ever been in. It was really nice.
It was wonderful. We called an Uber from the airport, and the guy's like, yeah, I'll totally pick you up. So he picks us up, and we're in the Uber, and you don't realize the pride that Portuguese, and especially Lisbon people have for their hometown until you meet them.
Until this guy starts telling you about all things Portugal-centric.
Yeah, because... And here's how it works, because we're driving in and the guy's like, oh, are you here? And it's like, yes, we came over just to see Portugal, and specifically just to see Lisbon.
Yes.
We're really here just to see Lisbon.
Oh, and he lit up like a Christmas tree.
Oh, yeah, because the guy's like, you're not going on to France or Spain or Germany? No, we're just coming to see Lisbon. Oh, let me tell you about Lisbon. And this guy had a level of pride. It's like the pride of someone from Texas, because they're like, I'm from Texas. Yep, Texas.
That's the perfect analogy.
They have their own attitude.
Oh, my gosh.
Portugal, whenever you think about going to Europe, you're thinking about, I'm going to go to Germany or France or England or maybe Spain, Italy, whatever. But Portugal doesn't come right to mind because it's not as populated, it's not as big.
Yeah.
And these guys are seriously like,
we're everything. Like, yeah. And more people should go there. And they're like, more people should come here.
They absolutely. And the Uber driver is like, oh, and here down the road, there's where my grandma lives. And over there, that's where I bought shoes. And over here. And this guy's pointing things out. We got a world-class tour from this dude.
And we've had Uber drivers before that are like, I will tell you where to go. I'll tell you what to see. I'll give you some tips. Let me know if you need a ride later. Yeah. Da-da-da-da-da. This guy was like, and here is where my firstborn took his first steps. Yeah. And Portugal is known for first steps. And Lisbon proper is known for first steps. And we are Portuguese. Like, I mean, he was fantastic.
He was wonderful. And amazingly enough, and Portugal, you kind of got something going, not just Portugal, but also Lisbon in particular. And here's why. If you think about the development and the exploration of the entire planet.
Oh, yeah.
Vasco da Gama, Ferdinand Magellan, Bartolomeu Diaz, all these dudes and more, a lot of explorers, they basically launched from there.
Yeah.
They dominated the world in the 16th century.
Yeah.
So the 1500s, basically Portugal found everybody else on the map.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So it's sort of like, yeah, Portugal, you didn't exist till Portugal said, oh yeah, we found you, tag, you're it, you exist. Their navy is 700 years old. It's the longest continuously serving navy in the world.
That is so cool.
So these guys have been everywhere, and they claim it's like, okay, you exist. And then they basically, Portugal added you to the map.
Right.
So they can totally have this country pride, and Lisbon can totally have the pride of the city.
And this guy totally had the pride.
So
we're going from the airport down to the city. Mm-hmm. We're going towards the city center because we picked a place to stay in the downtown city center area. And it looks kind of flat, and not flat like Oklahoma, but like, you know, I'm like, because we did read it had hills, and so you'd be walking up and down hills. I was like, we can walk up and down hills.
We totally got this.
Totally. And so like he's driving and I'm looking around as we get towards like outside of the city center and like kind of coming in. I'm like, this looks kind of vertical. Like this is looking a little more hilly than I thought. Like these aren't flat out mountains, but for a city, they're pretty dang close. Like I was like,
Lisbon is hilly.
It is very hilly.
It is. What'd you say? Vertical?
I would say vertical. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for a coastal city, because I think the coast, you don't think of coast, you think of like Florida. It's like, it's all flat, there's beach. You go see across the entire country. No, you can't.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Lisbon, you go up and down. So the Uber driver drops us off.
Yeah, and so so our hotel was the...
Alcrim de Alciado.
Alcrim de Alciado.
You say that so much better than I did.
And it was on the street Rua de Alcrim, which is one of the main streets that goes between all of the neighborhoods proper of Lisbon. And it also goes down to the main train station. And that's kind of why we picked it.
Yeah.
And it goes up.
Yeah.
And so he turns to go up and I'm like, our hotel? And he's like, it's right up here. And I'm like, okay, because there's a tram that's bisecting the two lanes. And he, is nice about it. I believe he'd had some passengers before that had a lot of bags and stuff. Probably Americans. And he was like, so I'm going to pull up and you're going to kind of have to get your stuff and get out because everyone behind me is going to have to stop.
Yes.
And so I'm like, okay, he was not rude about it all.
He was great.
Matter of fact and very hey, let me help you out so that you don't look or feel bad because, and I realized after we got out of the car and we had our bags on the side, oh my gosh, people were zipping.
Yeah.
Like they were held up behind him. And it's like disorienting to look up and down to try and cross the street because you're usually just looking left or right. It was like up and down and people were zipping by. Like it was really cray.
And we pack light anyway. So it's like we grab our bag and we each have a bag. We get out and we realize we're on the wrong side of the sidewalk here because the hotel's over there. So now we have to play that game of Frogger.
With cars and a tram. Yeah. On a hill.
Yeah.
Woo!
Good luck with that.
We did great.
We did.
Yeah.
We get into the hotel. The hotel's lovely. There's a free breakfast involved. It has a great location. And in fact, they did something very nice. We'll give you a travel nugget later on that's related to what the hotel did for us.
Yeah, sure.
It was actually a very cool little treat for us. So they are centrally located, and you can cram a lot of culture into a very small footprint of Lisbon.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of stuff going on. Across the street, there's old bookstores. I'm talking old. I went over to, I saw two bookstores next to each other. They had stuff from like the 15, 16, 1700s.
I know.
Just really impressive
This
stuff.
was in the Baixado neighborhood.
Okay.
And so that's sort of like the more downtown area. It's do you want me to talk about the neighborhoods now?
Yes, please.
Oh yeah. It's right down from Barrio Alto, which is it's like more lively. It's got the nightlife. In fact, we ate there a lot. And it was really cool. There's lots of shops and restaurants and there's a lot of places to listen to Fado, which we'll talk about later as well. But that's why we picked this place is cuz that was right up the hill from where we were in our hotel. And then to the east, if you're looking at a map, which is if we're looking at the water,
right?
To the east, is the old town.
Yeah.
And so that's Graça. It's the Peña de França, oldest town in all of Lisbon. Peña de França, I think is how you say it.
Peña de França.
Yes, and that's where you'll see laundry hanging, a lot of actual proper older generation Portuguese live there.
Right.
Lots of restaurants. We went to the cathedral there.
Yes.
And you can see it goes up really higher even to where the fort and everything is. So you can overlook the River Tagus. Is it Tagus?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can overlook everything. And so that's a really cool neighborhood to go look at buildings and kind of see the old town.
And it's right next to us. So it's we can go over there and just see how Lisbon developed and how it formed. And it's beautiful
and
stuff.
It's got a lot of Fado too.
Right.
And then there's the Campo de Orique. It's the food paradise new neighborhood, which we went and ate in once. And it's kind of up into the west of Lisbon. And then there's the Príncipe Real, which is the trendy, coolest, all the younger people are sort of moving their neighborhood. But here's the thing. Where we stayed was in the middle of all of these neighborhoods.
Yeah.
The only problem was that you had to walk uphill to get to all of them. And so it was a really cool place to be. Yeah.
We had a great location. The thing is, not just everything in walking distance, we also were right down the street, literally a couple of blocks, less than a block away, a couple of stores away from where they sell the tiles. And the tiles, if you've seen these tiles, they're white tiles. If you're looking at us on YouTube, they look just like this one we picked up.
Yeah.
They're white tiles with blue painted on them, and they're called azulos. Azuelos. I wasn't even close.
Yeah.
They're a popular art form. They started in different colors, and then the Portuguese were like, hey, we're going to make these blue and kind of claim it as our own, and they did. This is starting in the 18th century, so the 1700s. Portugal made more of these than any other country in Europe.
Every building, the exterior is covered with these.
Yes.
Everywhere we went in Lisbon, it was like, look at these tiles. No, look at these tiles. Look at these tiles. I mean, oh my gosh. It was beautiful.
They are gorgeous. And here's the thing. You can buy them cheaply and bring them home. So if you need souvenirs for people, this is what you get. You get these little hand-painted blue tiles, and there are stores that have them. There's shops all over the place, and you get these, and oh my goodness,
man.
It is authentic, it is cultural, and it looks great, and they're everywhere, and there were just two right down the street from us.
Yeah.
So we thought, okay, this is really kind of cool.
Yeah. And so we did a lot of like walking around, just looking at stuff. There's ways to get around that actually we didn't utilize as much as I wish we would have, because they have these lifts, and then like you take a lift, it goes way, way, way high up on a street, and then you can walk over. There's like a catwalk that'll go over to like the other adjacent streets. And then they have these funiculars that like can like just take you up a hill, and then they have the tram. And I wish we would have done more of that, but we walked a lot.
Yeah, we walked a lot because we thought, well, Lisbon's kind of small, compact, and we didn't want to miss anything.
Right.
And also we had zero time to do research because we had jet lag.
Well, and I wanted to see the neighborhoods on foot, quite frankly.
Yeah, that's how we are, because whenever we get someplace, it's like we found out that there's a lot of stuff going on in Lisbon. There's a lot of museums to go to.
Yes.
And we thought, wow, there's a whole lot of culture over there.
I'm all about culture.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we like our culture. So here's what we do. We go down to the train center.
Yes.
We go down the hill. Thankfully, it's down the hill. We go to the train center, and let's point this out. The trains and the trams and all this, it's super easy to navigate in this city.
Yes.
It works out really well. And we think, wow, let's go to one of these museums.
Yeah.
So we go to the Contemporary and Modern Art Museum.
Yes.
We pick this sucker off first. Holy cow. It is, I don't want to say amazing.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that you go to, it's like, so that's kind of cool.
This is just a few stops west from Lisbon proper.
Yes.
On the train. And so it was easy to like get on and like go down there. It was just a few stops, and we kind of planned to go to this one place, and then we ended up going to a few others just because it was a cool little area to hang out in. Yeah,
it's nice. And so we go into the museum, and we just think, okay, we're going to look at all this art. And we saw, I think it's 3 or 4 levels of art, 3 or 4 stories of art. And you go in and you just think, wow. And every level is cooler than the previous level.
Yeah.
A lot of interactive, immersive stuff where you will be in a room and there's screens surrounding you. And so it's like a panoramic thing. You have to look all around you to see what is going on.
They had a lot of abstract and surrealist art, which is something I'm kind of personally into because I like a lot of experimental film. I just like different things that are like, not necessarily like, here's a painting of a lake. It's a lake. I like the Picasso stuff where it's
right.
Here's a lake, but it kind of looks like a lake on the moon. It's like,
So if you're looking for stuff and going, wow, what is this abstract? Go to this museum.
Yeah.
You're going to have a lot of fun.
For sure.
So we did that museum. That was a great time.
Yeah.
And then we thought, let's go see another museum.
This one really was super cool though.
Yeah. This was, and this is one of those where I didn't know this museum existed until I saw that it existed.
Yeah.
Because who would have a museum about this? This is, and I'm not making this up, the National Coach Museum.
Who knew?
Yeah. Basically, these are vehicles from the 17th and the 19th century. So read that as the 1600s to the 1800s.
Yeah. Just
before the car, gang. So everything,
some of them, it was like I saw some of the displays and I was like, this led up to the making of the car, I think.
Yeah.
Because they kind of became a little motorized in the as you were walking through looking at the displays. And I was like, I had no idea.
It was the weird thing for us because one thing I noticed was that, okay, you got all these carriages and all these coaches and all stuff. These are all horse-drawn.
Yeah.
And what I noticed specifically was that headlamps and headlights evolved over the centuries.
Wow.
Until the headlamps that we have today on modern cars.
Yes.
It's just one of those little nuanced things like, that's kind of cool.
I never knew I could be into this stuff. I think we spent hours there.
We really did.
Yeah, because it was mesmerizing.
It was mesmerizing because they're so ornate and so just so precise.
Artisan
and
craft,
beautiful,
painted. This just really detailed, even the fine details down to the velvet on the seats and the lace and the curtains on the inside and like just it was just amazing.
And they're all painted by hand and they're beautiful. And these are coaches that were owned by royalty and by popes.
Ornate.
Yes,
that's the word. Ornate.
There are coaches, there are chaises, there are processionals, and the processionals basically it holds a religious shrine.
Yeah.
So if there's like a parade or a ceremony, that's what that goes into. A cabriolet, which is an open 2-seater. One horse brings that, and a cabriolet, it's now named after, a car's named after it.
When I was a kid, when I was like getting my license, I wanted a Volkswagen Cabriolet.
Oh, that's who makes that. It's a Volkswagen Cabriolet.
They call them the Cabrio now.
Oh, really?
I don't even know if they still make them anymore, the Cabrios. But before the Cabrio, it was the Cabriolet.
So the Cabriolet is a wonderful little thing, and basically it's like an open air thing. You just it's jaunty. You put a horse on the you go through the country. They have cabriolets.
Yeah.
And this is the one I really want. It's a sedan chair.
Oh, yeah.
A sedan chair. Here's the deal. It's ornate, and you're basically sitting in a box. You go and you sit in this box, and it's a chair, and you sit there, and a sedan chair, it basically has poles coming out laterally, and people put this on their shoulders, and they carry you through the crowd.
If you ever want to feel like royalty, I'm sure this is what would make it happen. You're like, people are carrying me. I am royalty. Like
it was so nice. It's like, oh, hello, I'm in a sedan chair, and how are you, commoner?
I'm a big deal.
Like, hello, someone beneath my station is clearly carrying me forward. I just saw that. Wow. So anyway, you've got to go. If you go, there's a ton of museums there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of culture there. But this is just one of those odd little museums. I don't want to say little because it's actually a fairly good size.
Yeah.
This is worth spending a couple of hours. And even if you have bratty teenagers and kids who don't get into it, when they get
I don't like a museum.
When they get there, they're going to be like, this is kind of cool.
This is tubular, man.
Yeah, King whatever was in this. Prince whoever was in this. It's
this
like,
is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's actually really kind of neat. So go to the National Coach Museum. And here's the deal. When we see the National Coach Museum, then you start thinking of the history and people riding in coaches.
Yeah.
Which led to something which was an unfortunate chapter of history.
Oh, yeah.
But this was, and it's all because it was an open coach.
Yeah.
That this happened. This led to the square. It is Praça de Comercio.
Yeah, this right down from where we stayed.
It's the main square.
Yes.
And it's more towards the water.
Yes.
There's an assassination there of King Carlos I and Prince Louis Philippe. This happened in 1908.
Wow.
And here's why it all ties together.
Yeah.
There was political turmoil at that time. It was really not a great place to be, especially if you're one of the leaders politically. So it was kind of like, oh man, what's going to happen?
Well, they've had several revolutions. Revolutions?
Yes.
Yeah, like in Portugal. Yeah. That have happened over time. So this was during one of them.
Yeah. So exactly right. So what happened in 1908? So King Carlos, he's like, I want to ride in an open carriage to show normalcy. I want to show that I'm not afraid of my foes. Yeah. Everything is cool. So they're coming in from a trip. It's the king, that prince, there's a younger prince as well, and the queen.
Yeah.
So there's 4 of them in the carriage. So they come in from this vacation trip, and it's like, okay, we're going to take a carriage back home.
Yeah.
2 assassins open fire. There's one with a rifle and one with a pistol, and this is important. The one with the rifle, he shoots, he kills the king instantly. One shot, the king falls over, and he dies right there.
Okay.
The prince has a gun on. The older prince has a gun on. He starts shooting back because the other assassin has a pistol.
Oh, wow.
And so the prince like, okay, so he starts shooting back. So he starts doing his thing. Turns out he wounded the assassin who climbed into the carriage because the guy with the pistol, he's climbing in.
Oh, my gosh.
So the prince is like shooting. He wounds him. Check this out. Queen Amelia had no weapons on her. She has a bouquet of flowers. And she starts beating back the assassin who was climbing into the carriage.
Break my heart.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Oh,
it's like,
my
bam,
gosh.
bam, bam. So she's fighting back with flowers.
Oh, my gosh.
In 1908. Are you
I would
kidding me?
too. Are you kidding me? Anything I could get my hands on.
She's covering up the second prince who is younger. He's like in his early teens or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's down there. And then the prince who was shooting back, he stands up. And then the first assassin who killed the king with the rifle, he now has an open shot at that prince and he shoots him. So the king and the prince are both assassinated on that day.
Wow.
It's because they're in an open carriage.
Right.
The Queen, amazingly enough, comes out fine.
Right.
Totally uninjured. And the younger prince that she was covering, he was shot in the arm or something like that, but he was okay. And he was basically elevated to lead Portugal after that.
I mean, I'm sure they could have gotten her by accident, but they were probably there to only kill the males.
Yeah. So they killed the king. And by the way, the assassins were totally captured and they were killed that night as well.
Yeah. And I don't know, like there might be some Portuguese part of this where it's like, well, I mean, I don't know much about it because I don't know much about Portuguese history, but I'm like, totally on the side of them thinking, oh my gosh, you just got attacked. Maybe there was some reason politically why people in Portugal would say, yeah, but they needed to be attacked. Like, da-da-da. Like, I don't know.
There's a whole backstory to it. And basically it's warring political factions, but just start gunning people down on the streets.
The interesting thing I will say about it, though, is that we did, because of the Carriage Museum, we went to look for the plaque that commemorates this.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think because it's commemorated with the plaque, I'm pretty sure that and it was a small plaque.
That's the thing is that it's sort of like you're on the Amazing Race or something. It's like, find this plaque that commemorates the assassination of King Carlos I.
So it's in the Praça de Comercio.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a big square and you can barely see it. Like you have to really search.
It took us half an hour to find this thing.
Yeah.
And it's basically next to a place where people are drinking coffee.
Right.
They're just having a cafe there. It's like, wow, that's the exact same spot right there.
Well, maybe it's kind of like a part of their history, but they're like, we've moved on.
Yeah.
Or like whatever. But like, yeah, I thought it would be bigger. But again, we don't know the context. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, that's the thing is that, and the analogy I can bring up in this country is like, say, when JFK was shot in downtown Dallas, it's not like downtown Dallas is now shut down as a shrine to the JFK assassination. It doesn't work like that. Instead, it's like, well, this is a commemorative thing, but we've moved on.
Yeah, sure. True.
And so there's totally the plaque and all that. So we go there, and the other thing is that we decide to go up because there's a tower there.
Yes.
And we go into the tower, and you pay a couple of bucks, and you go up, and you can oversee everything.
Yes.
And when you get there, this is the Arco de Rua Augusta.
Yes.
I've totally mispronounced that.
No, I've got the ticket right here. Yeah. Arco de Rua Augusta.
Oh, I nailed it.
Totally.
So, and the thing is that when you go up there, you can look around at everything, and it's a beautiful thing where you just go up, and for a couple of bucks, you get to overlook the entire square.
Yeah.
You see the port of Lisbon. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So we went up there, and there's also like a very weird clock up there, by the way, where it's one of these mechanical clocks, and it's a huge thing. It's like, how does this even work? So you go see that as well.
Yeah.
Something I will tell Marie right now, when we came down.
Oh, no.
You've done this before. You've done this in more than one place. We came down. There is a band playing. I don't know if you remember this. There is a band playing authentic Portuguese music.
Oh, I do remember this.
And we were going to take a picture.
Gosh. Yes.
And so what happens is Marie, she doesn't photobomb, but she'll go up next to a band and she'll pretend she's singing. She'll do this la la la, but she
like
won't
on Charlie Brown.
Yeah, but she won't say anything. She'll just open her mouth large next to the band, like, blah, 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 like that.
Yeah, and it looks like I'm singing with them.
And I totally have to take a picture.
Did we do that?
You've done that in Estonia.
I know, but didn't we try to do it there? We just couldn't.
You totally did it there.
Did you take the picture? Because I don't have the picture.
I totally have the picture. Oh. We will find that picture. But
okay,
if
good.
We have the picture. Yeah, but you just you act, and the band's looking around. They're just playing. It's like, okay, this is cool. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, weirdo.
So we did that.
Love it.
Because, when you do these things, you got to have fun when you're on vacation.
So, but here's the thing, that little square, they have like little like bands and like it leads down into this real sort of like shop and restaurant. It's like a commercial district that a lot of people are on. Like, I mean, they're on the street going up and down. It's busy.
It is pedestrian friendly to the extreme degree because that's the thing about Lisbon is that, you're walking around a lot, but when the pedestrian areas, when they really kick in, holy moly, there's a lot of stuff you can see. You can just see a lot of stuff on foot as you're walking around and you go, wow, look at all this really neat cultural stuff, the food stuff, the beverage stuff. It's all right there.
I'm going to talk about the food later, but I will say that on this street, that's where we had the pastis. The pastis de nadas.
As we close out this program, I'm going to tell you about the pastis and all the other foods that we had. We're not ignoring the fact that we did eat a little bit in Portugal and in Lisbon because it was amazing.
You're not fat, you're well-rounded.
I keep hearing this voice in my head. Before we talk about that, we got to talk about this town called Sintra.
Yes, please.
Sintra is a wonderful place. If you go to the Lisbon area, you have to go to Sintra.
So cool.
It's important. It's about a 30-minute ride.
Yeah.
So what happens is that when you go there, this was a palace area, the whole thing. Not Sintra. Sintra's a little bitty town.
Yeah.
But they built the Palacio Nacional de Peña.
Oh, you said that so well.
Thank you. They built this in the mid-18th, I want to say 19th century.
Yeah.
So it's the mid-1800s. Ferdinand II, he built this, and with Queen Maria II, she passed away.
Oh.
Eventually, he remarried to the Countess of Edla.
Oh.
Or Edla, sorry, Edla, Edla. And so they remarried, and so she kind of helped design this as well. This is an incredibly quirky little place.
It's so quirky because it's got like almost, can I say, Middle Eastern features?
It does.
Yeah, it's got like these minaret kind of looking things and like, but it's also like English castle-y looking. Like it's so cool to look at, and it's got these like striking colors. They're like yellow and red.
That's the thing. Most castles, you look at a castle, what color is that? Gray.
Cement.
Yeah. It's the color of cement.
Yeah, it's like, this one's like painted and kind of like, it's just really, it's like, what? But it's super cool too.
This is painted in all sorts of yellows and reds and different colors. And it's very vibrant because, when you look at Scotland, it's like, yes, my castle's the color of concrete, whatever it is. But this one, it just stands out.
Yeah.
It's a neat thing. So you go over to this town called Sintra and you say, take us to the Palace of Peña, and they will totally take you there.
Yeah.
And they will take you to the bottom of the park because this castle's on a hill. Did we mention there's hills in this area?
Oh, man.
So now you're walking up.
Oh, my.
And you're walking up, you're passing little fountains and all sorts of little quirky little things.
Yeah.
And you get up to the castle. Now, remember, there are no pictures allowed inside of the castle.
Right.
You can't take pictures there. But outside, there are photo opportunities all over the place.
Yeah.
Because we got good photos of each other.
We did.
And I can't take a still picture to save my life. I am terrible at still photography. But I managed to pull it off.
I'll tell you this, you can take some photos walking around the outside of it that goes towards the back and around to the other side.
Yes.
But it's really narrow.
Yes.
And you look down and you're like, whoa, that's straight down.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think about the guys who built this back in the 1850s. Like, how did you manage to not fall off and die?
I can't even.
Because it's just so vertical. It's just so, there's no slope. It just goes straight down.
Yeah.
In some of these parts, like, you've got to be kidding me.
But you look out and it's also very beautiful. That was the place where I looked at you and said, we have to come back to Portugal proper, like not just Lisbon, like other places, and like just go take us around, because you start to see like the countryside.
Yeah.
Like I want to just go around and look at like the country. It's beautiful.
It's so nice. And so it's like, okay, so you have to go to Sintra because Sintra has that. They also have, and this is...
oh, this was really cool.
This was really cool. And you didn't do this initially, by the way.
Oh, I know.
You made me do this on my own.
I did.
It's kind of scary. It's a little bit creepy. Oh, no. I'm scared. It is the Quinta de Regalia.
Oh, I think you're saying that right.
I think I'm close to it.
It's another It's another, like...
It's a castle.
It's a castle, but it's another, like, cool, interesting area.
But here's the thing about the area.
Yeah.
You go to the Quinta de Regalia. I'm totally butchering the last part of that.
Sorry, guys.
This is as good as I can do.
Sorry, my Portugal peeps.
They have open grounds, and there's lots of grottos. There's lots of like fountains and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Here is the really amazing part. And when you go there, you have to go to the initiation well. It is called Poco Iniciatico.
This was the super coolest thing ever.
It's basically, imagine a column with a spiral staircase, okay?
Yes.
Imagine a column, vertical, spiral staircase.
Yes. Kind of like when you go to a castle.
Yes.
And you're going up between the floors.
Yes.
And it spirals up.
Yes.
And you are going up and you're like, I'm going up. Okay, imagine that Going down.
Spiral staircase. There, I finally got it. Here's what happens. This sucker just goes down. It's a well. It is 27 meters or 88 feet deep.
I got vertigo.
To say it is dark and dank is an understatement, because here's what happens. You go there and you'll just, you could go look down, and at the very bottom of it, in the bottom of this, and it's not a well. You're going to think it's a well. It's not. The Templar cross is inscribed in the floor of this thing. So you're looking straight down. It goes 88 feet down, and it gets darker and darker and darker. And it keeps going down, and you have to spiral down a very narrow, winding, circular staircase all the way down. And here's the fun part. When you get to the bottom, then you disappear.
Can I just point out one thing we need to tell people?
What you got?
When you go to do these things, okay, number one, when you leave Lisbon, we did take an Uber.
Yes.
We went all the way out to Sintra, and Ubers do go out there.
They do.
And they go between these two castles. So that's a good thing to remember.
Right.
Because you might be freaked out after you do this.
Yes.
Like you visit this one. This is the last one. You're like, I just want to get home. Because I'll tell you this. This is the second thing I want to point out. Once you start going down, they don't let you come back up.
No, they don't.
Do you remember that?
That's very important. That's a very important point. Once you start going down into the initiation well.
Yes.
And it's been used for basically religious purposes.
Are you saying sacrifices?
I'm saying no one quite knows what the backstory is on this and what exactly happened.
That was we talked to some people, and they were like, I think that they were sacrifices. Yeah, we were like, really? And they were like, yeah. I'm like, I don't know for sure, but yeah.
Yeah, if you got a Ouija board, it's going to start moving on you. Here's why.
Again, some mystique.
Yes, because you go down. And here's the thing, because I said, I want to go do it. And you're like, I don't know if I want to.
Right.
So I said, I'll go check it out. I'll be manly like Ricky Martin. So I decided to start going down the stairwell.
Yes.
And I met someone. I bumped into people who were like, we want to go back up. It's like, oh, no. It's very narrow. You have to go back down. And you keep going down and spiraling down. Woo! And it's dark, and it gets really creepy. It's like a vertical cave, basically.
And they tell you, if you're going to start going down,
keep going.
Because it's very narrow.
Yes.
You cannot come back up.
No, you can't.
Keep going.
You keep going. And here's the deal. I got down to the very bottom. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. When I say you disappear, here's what happened. You have to exit through a cave.
I know.
You exit through a cave, and they don't tell you this in advance, or if they do, they tell you in Portuguese, because I certainly didn't know this. So I'm going all the way down. It's like, how do I get, there's the door. It's not a door. It's a cave. You go through this cavern and you sort of labyrinth your way out to daylight. And then I came back up and I found you. It's like, hi, how you doing?
You are such a good husband, because you were like, look, I did the recon.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you down. It's going to be fine.
Yes.
But just know that it is really dark and it gets really narrow. But then after that, in the caves, they're wider and it's still dark, but you will eventually come out and it is fine.
Yeah, the caves have some lights on them, so you do see where you're going. And we've got some pictures we'll put on vocavacay.com because these pictures are stunning.
Well, the cool thing was that once you got through the labyrinth, coming towards the end of it to go back out to civilization, there was a waterfall.
There was.
And it was beautiful.
It is romantic.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did this now.
Yeah.
So you came up and you were like, you can totally do this. Because I get I have anxiety. I get claustrophobic. I literally looking down the well, I was like, I'm already getting vertigo.
It freaked me out too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a freak out factor here. We just look down and go, what is this? You've never seen anything like this.
This wasn't the only sort of, that was probably the most bizarre, interesting thing about this whole place, all these grounds.
Right.
But the whole place was kind of like this. You could crawl up into these what am I saying? Pieces of castle that were made.
Oh yeah. There's all sorts of little small towers. There's lots of little there's all sorts of little
walls and ruins.
And you get in there, it's like, oh, this is a grotto. This is kind of a cave. And by the way, there's a lot of just lush greenery there.
Oh, it's beautiful.
So when you're going, and it's like, okay, so you have to crawl over this stump of this, go around this thing, and then you're looking out of a castle.
Here's the thing: the kids, families were there.
Holy moly!
The kids loved it. Yes. They were in heaven. They were like, I'm climbing on things.
Take your kids to this, but I swear, if you do that, make sure you have relatively good blood pressure. You just see the kids just popping their heads out of a turret and go, oh, how did you get up there? And the kid's like, dude, it's totally fine. I just walked up the stairwell that you don't see.
Right, sure.
But when you get there, it's like, oh my goodness. Yeah. It's kind of a stunning thing.
And then the castle itself, it's this really sort of gothic, medieval, sort of interesting. It's definitely different than the other castle, the castle at Peña.
The Peña, yeah.
Yeah, like, and so this had a different feel, and it was cool to walk around in it. And it was a different, like, castle to look at. It was cool.
Yeah, so if you're looking at castles, you'll look at this. If you look at this after Peña, it's not really a fair comparison because Peña is just so over the top and ornate and elaborate and so colorful. The one there is not as colorful.
Yeah.
But if you look at I could totally see this.
It's still beautiful.
Yeah, and you know what? We picked up an Uber right at the doorstep. It's like, can you come get us? The guy's like, yeah, I totally know where you guys are.
Totally.
And then we go back to Lisbon. but Cintra, very nice day trip.
Yeah.
Be sure you just pop out there. And apparently there's some trains or buses or whatever. You can get out there a myriad of different ways.
Yeah.
Get out there, enjoy it, have fun, and take your camera because you're going to want to take a lot of pictures.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Hey, you know what I did doing all of this?
What did you do?
I worked up an appetite.
Yeah.
Do you know me?
Yeah, I do.
So when we came back then we started to think like, okay, we've gone out, we've done some stuff. What else are we going to do around town?
Right.
And I like to find a good restaurant. And so I had done a little bit of research about what to like eat while we were there. Did you know that Portugal is known so well for the sardine production that it does?
I did not know that, but sardines are great.
Well, we found out because, I had read about it a little bit, but we found more out about it because we ended up going to this little fabric shop and all of the, like, they had like Christmas ornaments that were made just out of like really cool fabric. I actually have the card right here. It's the Qui Coraçal. It's this like fabric factory and showroom. And anyway, we bought this little like Christmas ornament that was this fabric sardine. And I was like, what's up with this? And so, yeah, like they actually have, Portugal actually is one of the few places that uses the old school method of canning to actually preserve their sardines. And there's a whole history about it and why they are so like enamored with the sardine. But like a lot of people they're really delicious and delectable. And a lot of people bring them back for gifts, but they use this like old school method of like, canning them and like putting them in their tins and everything. And so anyway, I was, hoping to find something sardine to eat.
Right.
But we didn't do any proper sardine eating. We found some other restaurants to go to and some other things to eat. I will say though that if you go in June, they have the Festo de Santo Antonio. I think that's because Saint Antonio is the one who made the sardines popular.
He's the patron saint of sardines?
Yes, in Portugal. I think
no kidding.
So. For sure.
Okay.
And so anyway, there's wine, roasted vegetables, roasted peppers. They have this whole month-long festival that goes around the sardine.
Nice. That's in June.
So we didn't have any sardines. We were also recommended the bafana, which is like the pork sandwich. It's marinated in white wine and garlic.
Yum.
And it's fried and put on a bun.
Well, let's talk about the other foods that we had there because there's some amazing foods. Now, like tapas, people think, tapas, that's just a Spanish thing.
So we did end up having really good tapas.
Right.
And we had tapas in 2 areas. We had tapas in our neighborhood, the the Barrio Alto, which was right up from us.
Right.
Yeah. And then we had it in, we had it in Campo de Arique, I think is where we had the other one.
Okay.
We went to 2 places and it was on one of the first nights that we had the really good tapas. And we had it at the Taverna al Facciata.
Facciata?
Yes.
Okay.
It had the best tapas. Okay. Talk about what we ate there because specifically this meal stands out in my mind.
Okay. So here's how tapas works. In case you don't know how tapas works, it works like this. You go in and they bring you a plate of food. of like little serving, like small stuff.
Yes.
And it's shareable.
You make it, it's like made to be shared.
Yes. So we had, there was one is like goat cheese with honey and walnuts on it.
Yes.
There's one, and when you talk about your finest meats and cheeses, these are the guys you go to because it's like, and here's this meat and it's wrapped around a cheese. And oh, you've got to be kidding me. And so we went there and the food was really, really amazing.
You're not fat, you're well-rounded.
That voice is in my head repeatedly on this episode because here's the deal. Portugal's really good for food. And Lisbon it's a seaport. It's right there. There's all sorts of fish.
So like people also like the paella is really, really, I mean, that's something to really get there too. But at this restaurant we had We had olives. We ordered little chips.
Yes.
And we ordered, the goat cheese with the walnuts and the honey. And then we had this like sort of like potato dish that was like potatoes with cheese. And then it had like egg. And then it had like ham on, which I think in a previous episode I said jam on.
Ham on.
But it's ham on, and with a J that sounds like an H, which is like ham steak over here.
It was so
but it's more
good.
kind of sliced thinlier, like prosciutto.
Thinlier,
more thin. Anyway,
or thinner if you're taking notes. So it's a thin layer of ham.
This sounds like me. I'm the one that said wine vines. Thinlier, you know what I mean.
It's a thin layer of ham, and it has potatoes, cheese, and egg, and it's so good.
It's so good. So we shared all of that. This place, okay, we had tapas also in Barcelona.
Nah.
Actually, this place, the tapas blew me away.
Amazing
Like
stuff.
It was so good. So there's that, and then a lot of people come to have the paella, the seafood, and then the pastis de natas, the pastis.
Pastis, it's this cool little treat that, and you can get at various places.
Yeah.
And when we got ours, you go in and they're making it by hand. And a pastis, how do we describe this?
It's eggy. It's like a custard, and then it's like a tart pastry. And so we talked about this also. We had a similar version of this again in Barcelona. And so but this, you have this because one of the things to drink in Portugal is the port.
Yes.
The port wine.
Yes.
And so you have this with the port. This was by far one of the best things I've ever put in my mouth ever.
We did this.
It was so good.
We did this at a place where basically you go up and you just get the pasta and you get the port, and they pair them together, and that is what you get. And it was just, it's a fun little thing to do.
Yes. There's a place that's well known for it. It's the Pastis de Belém. And they have a secret recipe that's been around. They've never told it. It's been around for like a million years. That's very hyperbolic, but you get where I'm going with this. And then the place we had was downtown. I didn't write down the name of it. But we'll put pictures because we took pictures. Yeah. And so anyway, it was the most popular little downtown place that you could get the pastis in Lisbon proper.
Yeah.
Because Belém, it was like, that's a little west.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. But anyway, oh my gosh, it was so good. And then speaking of drinks.
Which way is the bar?
I love it. Here's what you do. You have to try the port. That is what Portugal is known for. And in fact, across from our hotel, there was a little we would call it here a convenience store, but it was more fancier than that. It had like wines and cheeses and meats. Anyway, and then other convenience-y store type things. But upstairs, they had a proper port wine, basically
it's like a little showroom up there.
Yes.
Because we went, if you think of a convenience store, usually in the United States, it's like, here's potato chips, here's the hot dogs, here's the nachos you can get with us. Over there, it's, you go in and there's this food. But yeah, you went up to the second level. There's nothing but wine, and it's all Portuguese port wine.
Yes.
And there are hundreds of different types of bottles out there.
And so we looked at all of that. You can also, they had some Vino Verde, which is it's like, you would think it's like, is that green wine? Is it wine that's green? It's actually from the Vino Verde region.
Oh.
And so they had a lot of that. And then they also had the cherry liqueur, the Ginjana, or I think is what you call it.
Right.
But you've got to try the port while you're there. It's like a sweeter, darker, richer wine. Oh my gosh, it was so good.
And it pairs with everything.
Yes.
There's never a bad meal that's like, I'm going to have some port wine with that. It won't go. Yeah, it'll totally go. It tastes good. Totally good. What kind of wine you want? Port, it'll go.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally works.
So we ate a lot of really good food. And then the other thing we wanted to do in Lisbon proper was the Fado.
Fado.
He's the Fado.
Let's explain. This is spelled Fado. And what Fado? It is a type of singing. It's a type of song, and they can tell you it originated in Lisbon.
Yes.
This is they've cornered the market on this. This happened starting in the 1820s, maybe earlier, because it's all oral history back then, but they think, about 1820s when they started.
Yeah.
Fado, it's expressive, it's sad, it's melancholy, it's a singer, and it's done with guitars, acoustic guitars, not electric, you loser. So, and they get up there and they sing songs of loss and longing.
Yes.
And these are always, they're always small, intimate bars with 2 or 3 guitarists and a singer.
Yeah.
We went to one.
It goes straight into your heart parts.
We went to one.
Wait, I have a little more history.
You do?
Yes. The music, the Fado music in Lisbon.
Yes.
It was actually known at first. It was the music of sailors and prostitutes.
There you go.
It was a music of people that like had hard realities of daily life. And the Portuguese called it saudade, which is like longing.
Longing.
It's profoundly melancholic.
It is. It is.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. It has, like you said, a couple guitars, maybe some violas. It depends on how big the place is where they're playing.
Right.
And sometimes a little smaller version of a string bass. But there was a revolution in 1926 where there was a censorship period that happened for several years, like up until like the 50s or the 70s or something.
Okay.
And so Fado was something that like people sang because of the heartache of being censored and like the political turmoil of the time.
Because the oppression and all that stuff so just naturally flowed in. And it's like, look, we're kind of bummed out. Here's a song that totally works.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I love it. To me, it is very melancholic. It is really all that longing, like you feel it. But also, can I just say, I think it sounds very sexy. Like it's very like, I mean,
it's heartfelt. It's emotional.
On vocavacay.com, so we'll put a link to the place where we went to listen to it, which we're going to talk about here in a second.
Yes.
But also on our YouTube channel, I'm going to upload the videos that we took just on our phone of the woman in the bar that we went to see it in. And she was beautiful and amazing, and it sounded amazing. So we'll upload those so that you guys can check them out.
When you go to Lisbon, you need to ask your hotel concierge person, like, where can I listen to good Fado?
Yes.
Or Fado. Because when you do that, that is just beyond what you've heard before. And in fact, you can do this if you have like Sirius or Pandora. You can totally just say, hey, play some Fado music. Yeah. And they'll do that for you. And so you kind of get it. Yeah. But you really want to be in the moment and see it in these small, intimate bars that only hold 30 or 40 people.
I mean, I'm going to tell you this right now. We are literally on our table. I am looking at 4 different handouts that we got to go listen to Fado. Fado in Chiado. Fado inside the box.
Yes.
Fado in Real.
Yes.
And Fado on the river. So they're all in different neighborhoods. I think they're primarily like in more of the older neighborhood. Yeah. And then up in like Barrio Alto or like in Baixo Chiado. Like they're in those neighborhoods more primarily. And so you just have to check it out. We went to one called Tasco de Chico.
Wonderful place.
Oh my God.
And here's the thing. If you go to a place like Tasco de Chico, you need to go early because there is a seating capacity. We were lucky to even get in.
Yes.
And we were basically behind them a little bit.
Yeah.
And then when she started singing, Marie grabbed the cell phone and she just went, you sat on the floor basically right in front of her, just so you can get these shots because it's an amazing thing. You really want to be a part of this experience. It's very, it's just very personal.
It's very personal.
So you get in there, it's like, oh my gosh, I love Fado. So now we listen to this stuff pretty frequently.
We just put it on the other night.
Yeah.
We were like making dinner or something. I was like, put on, because we have Pandora. Yeah. We have like whatever. In fact, any of you listening right now, go to Pandora if you have access to that and just say, like, type in Fado and it will come up and you'll just be like, oh my God. It's amazing.
Really good stuff. Yeah. So we did that. And, as far as culture goes, that's one of those things. You just get in there, you have a nice meal. And then you think, you know what? We're just gonna have a really good time, and it's a very nice reaction. You go, wow, this is something. It's great.
And you're like you're in with the locals, so you're actually like your reaction you're talking about is like you're reacting to something the same way the locals still do. Like you feel very embedded in the culture.
Yeah, because they've been doing this for 200 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And so if you can take part in that, it's actually kind of a special thing.
Very cool.
Other fun stuff that we did there, because you talked about some of the other fun things we did, just as quick asides. Yeah. We went to a neighborhood theater.
We did.
And
I'm so glad you remembered that.
We went to a neighborhood theater, and let me throw a movie title at you and see, when was the last time you saw this on a theater marquee? Apocalypse Now.
Yes.
It was actually being played at a local, and we talk local theater, we talk about something with one screen.
Yeah.
We go there, it's a couple of bucks, we sit down, and here's the amazing thing that I did not expect. this was actually well attended.
Oh, yeah.
People showed up to watch this movie that came out 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah, well, the woman who was running the sort of like ticket counter,
yeah,
she was telling us that like people take film very seriously there. And I think that's really cool because you and I, of course, our background is teaching film, video, documentary, news, like all these things. And like, I was just so shocked that people were like, yeah, okay, you've got the extended version Redux print. Let's put it on. Sure, it's a Saturday night. Well, actually, it wasn't a Saturday night.
Yeah, but
it was whatever night.
It is a typical night.
Like,
but yeah, people showed up.
There were like 30 people there.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. And I mean, I just found out from her also that like David Lynch like premiered something like one of his like newer films of like something he had shot recently there. I mean, it was just really cool to see that culture still embraced of like the cinema. It's
one of these little pocket theaters. So I would encourage you, not just in Lisbon, but wherever you go, if you happen to find a theater that is a small, tiny, not a megaplex, not multiple screens,
not something that's going to play your big blockbuster.
No, find something that is going to play something more artsy.
Yeah, and intimate.
And you just go there and go, wow, you guys still really represent what film and cinema are all about.
Yeah, and people really appreciated it, and I loved that.
So we saw that
and seeing it, like seeing Apocalypse Now on the big screen and not from a DVD in your living room was like awesome because that's one of my all-time favorite films.
There you go.
I also loved the book.
Yeah.
Hearts of Darkness, Joseph Conrad.
There you go.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All right, this show isn't about that, but whatever.
But still, no. It's fine because you go and get a little bit of culture and just think, you know what? Lisbon is good on culture. It's great on history. It's great on food.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole lot of downsides to Lisbon except the fact you have to walk up and down hills. Just be ready for that.
Just be in shape.
The other thing,
you got to be fit like Ricky Martin.
You wound me. The other thing is we just got this one final thing is that we're talking about food. Our final night there, as we're wrapping up Lisbon.
Yes.
This was, we walked all over this town just looking for, and there was some concert, there's something going on that we were not hip to.
Okay.
But Lisbon never sleeps.
There was a concert. I don't remember who it was. It might have been someone we knew. I don't remember.
No idea.
I blocked it out of my mind.
No idea.
Because here is the deal. It was our last night. We had an incredibly early flight. We had to leave the hotel at like 1:45.
We had to be up at 1:45 and leave at like 2:15. It was insanely early for us.
And the weird, funny thing is that we thought it would be hard to get an Uber. Oh, no. This city never sleeps.
Oh, yeah, they're up. They gotcha.
And so I would assume that on a regular night without this huge name coming to town for this concert, it's probably kind of busy. And so, we ask to make preparations. Can we get an Uber this early, whatever, or a taxi?
No problem.
Whatever. So I'm assuming it would have been okay. But, we asked. On this night, it really wouldn't have been a problem because I have to say, all of Portugal was in Lisbon.
Yes.
We went out to get dinner that night, and I thought I was going to lose my ever-loving mind.
Everyone was awake, and everyone was eating out.
And everyone was on the street, and I have been in high-traffic populated areas before, but I've never seen anything like this in my life. This was Times Square mode on every street in the whole entire city that like we encountered, that we walked on. I mean, it was like, you know how molecules bounce off each other in a science, like a jar or like what's it called? A beaker.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, there were people just hitting us and walking all around. And I literally got so frustrated. And I know I give you Husband of the Year award.
Thank you.
Because I lost my ever-loving mind and was like, that's it. I give up. I'm going back to the hotel. I don't care if I eat tonight. I'm done.
Now, I, of course, like food.
Well, yeah. Me too.
I said, there's no way I'm not going to eat. So
get me back to the hotel. You were very nice.
I said, I think I said something like, get back to the room and shut up. I'll get food for us. I was nicer than that.
You were so nice. You got me back and then you were like, I will handle this.
I totally handled it. I went up and found a little Euro place. And these guys like, you want some euros? Like, yeah, I'll take two. He's like, okay. And he wraps them up and all this stuff. I come back and we ate our final meal of Lisbon was back at the hotel room. We had a couple of euros and they were so amazing.
Best meal hands down ever.
And so we ate, then we slept for like 2.5 hours. Then we had to leave the country. But here's the thing. Lisbon was actually very fun.
It was awesome. And I'm not complaining too much. I mean, I just wasn't expecting it to be like a regatta. Like it was like a total festival. And I just was like, it's our last night. I don't even know where to turn on the street because I'm just surrounded by people. And I'm not complaining because it was the most fantastic place to be at that time. we had jet lag getting there, and we had to leave, and I didn't want to leave.
We wanted to stay.
Oh, gosh.
Lisbon, we really wanted to stay longer.
It was so awesome.
Because Portugal's a lot of fun. Lisbon in particular is a lot of fun. And I can see now why when you read these articles about people retiring, it's like, there's a large expat population in Portugal. I get it. I totally get it. The weather is temperate. It doesn't get too hot or too cold.
Beautiful.
It's a beautiful place with rolling hills, and the people are friendly. The food is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's all sorts of good stuff. So I totally get why people would just say, hey, we're going to go to Portugal. We're going to stay there.
Yeah.
I totally understand it.
Totally.
You guys have got it down. And you would think we go to a lovely place like Lisbon. It's like, we will never be in a bad mood again. We will agree on everything. Everything is rainbows and unicorns and la, 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 la. No, you're wrong. We still fight. This is the portion of the show we call, this is where Monica takes on Joey.
It's game on. It's time for Monica versus Joey.
If you've ever seen the series Friends, there's two personalities, Monica and Joey. Monica wants things a certain way, and Joey is just kind of like, I got this.
I go with the flow.
Let's talk about if Monica and Joey happen to go to Lisbon. Lisbon has hills. And you've got to walk this sucker. Well, you can. It's very walkable. It's very condensed. But it's more vertical than you think. So when you look at the map and go, oh, that's right over there, dude, you might be going up and down more than you possibly think.
Oh, my gosh.
So the map is just a two-dimensional representation of what is a three-dimensional living nightmare of going up and down hills.
That's true. That's a good way to put it.
As it happens, I'll be Joey in this one. Because Joey, I'm sitting here going, you know what? Hey, I'm in Lisbon. I'll walk around. It's not a big deal. I'm happy to look at the shops and the sights. We're walking.
Sure.
Monica has a different viewpoint.
No, I want to get there. And I'm like, it will literally take me a half an hour to walk to this place because, you know, I love my foods. I love my drinks. These hips, they don't lie. Like, I got some thighs that are like, you know what? I don't go fast. And so I'm like, dude, we got to get there. And here's the thing. 1 mile or a half a mile. Dude, I can walk. Like, I am a good city walking around walker.
It's a short distance. We can totally walk it.
Except when you're going up a hill to then level out only temporarily to go up another hill. To then level out only temporarily to go up another hill that doesn't have one of the funiculars, the lifts, or a tram. I'm like, call the stinking Uber.
Okay.
Because I'm done. I want to get over to the thing that we need to see because we don't have a lot of time in this city. So chop, chop. Let's do it.
All right. And Joey, we would walk because look at the map. It's just short. It's right there to right there. It's not a big deal. So anyway, it's one of those things that Lisbon, if you're going, I don't want to say agree to disagree, but just look, when you look at the map.
Just be prepared.
Just be prepared. You're not seeing elevation.
No. It's not topographical.
Oh, there's a Jeopardy word. Okay,
it's a good crossword word.
That being said, as you're doing these things and you're looking at that, you're going online, you're looking and thinking, hey, you know what? There's all sorts of things you can find out about Lisbon.
Yeah.
You also need to know about these travel nuggets.
Ooh, I like a good travel nugget.
Here's a travel nugget for you, and it goes like this. First, and we alluded to this earlier, if you ever go to a hotel, and this is something that was very kind that our hotel people did for us. What happens that when you go someplace, if they have an extra leftover train or transit pass.
Yes.
It was so nice because we said, we're going to take the train. And they said, hey, you know what? Someone left this behind for us. So as a travel nugget, just ask, has anyone left behind any sort of train pass that has unused portions on it? And you can totally ride for free.
This is the Viva Viajem.
Yeah.
They gave, like, we were like, well, we're thinking about going here, there. We're thinking about going to Centra. Like, we were like talking. They were like, oh, some people left some of these. And I was like, can we have one of those? And they were like, yes. So just make sure that you ask because people will leave these. We left our unused ones behind.
Right. Yeah. And that's the travel nugget is that not only can do that, but if you're traveling someplace and they have one of these where they say you get so many segments or so many days or so many legs of a train.
Yeah.
If you don't use all of yours, leave them with the hotel front desk.
Yes.
Because that way another traveler can come in and say, oh, by the way, I'm going to take the train. It's like, dude, you can totally go from here to here for free.
Yeah.
Just to use it. And it was so nice and kind of the hotel to do that.
Yes.
And we encourage everybody, that's a travel nugget for this week. If you're going to go out, use something that someone else is left behind, and then whatever you're not using, leave that for somebody else.
Yes. And so that's a really good nugget. And then we're also going to post the links to the hotel and like the Coach Museum and the Fado that we listened to and all of that. And then also I will say they did at our hotel, ask them if like something like the hop on, hop off bus is worth doing. Cause we go back and forth on this. Like some cities were like, I'm not doing that
right,
because I don't want to pay the money. I'm just going to walk around the city proper. Like this one though, well, we've had a few cities where we're like, oh, we did the hop on, hop off and it was pretty good. And so like ask them because I will say Lisbon has a good hop on, hop off deal because the hop on, hop off, the routes, they have many different routes and they go up and around. And then also in Lisbon city center proper, like they go around like those streets. And like, I mean, like, for example, like our hotel gave us this and we almost did this, but we ended up like either sleeping in because we had jet lag or we didn't.
We were exhausted on day one. We were going to do it on day one and we said, no, we're just too tired.
Yeah. But this one has like the Belim line, the Oriente, the Castle line, Casais, Centra, the Belim Monumental. They have a hop on, hop off bus. I mean, a boat. Like, I mean, so you can do the bus, the boat, whatever. Ask the hotel if it's worth it because our gal was like, yeah, some of these are 48-hour passes and we had never encountered that before. And so ask them about that because that's a good travel nugget too. Like just because you know, the hop on, hop off is hit or miss in my opinion. It's either good or it's not. So yeah.
But check out VocaVacay.com because we'll have links to, you know, if you want to go out and you want to see the museum, something like that.
Yeah.
But remember, if you have leftover time or leftover legs or anything, leave them with your hotel. What are you going to do? Take them home?
I know.
You can't use this stuff back home, guys.
They don't
Let
work
someone
here.
else have fun with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the hop on, hop off. Yeah, we've gone back and forth because sometimes like, yeah, let's hop on, hop off. Sometimes like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to just charge for it like Lewis and Clark. We don't know what we're doing. That being said, as we do all this internet research, again, check out VocaVacay.com. And of course, all of our travel nuggets, they come from internet research. If you're going online, clicking some links, occasionally, actually every time we go out, we find, you know what? We look at these things, go, here's a good website, here's a website, and here's one you just say, what the holy guacamole?
What the holy guacamole are you talking about?
You've seen the Tom Hanks movie called The Terminal.
Oh, so interesting. I'm stuck in an airport forever. I feel bad for that dude, though.
It came out.
He was a foreigner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It came out in 2004.
Yeah.
And basically, it's based on a man who gets to an airport, he lands, and then he can't leave.
Aww.
Because of his passport and things are happening. Basically, he is stuck there. Well, if you thought that only happened in the movies.
Oh, gosh. What?
Au contraire, mon frere. Here we go.
Oh, no.
A man who feared the coronavirus hid in an airport for 3 months.
Stop it.
Instead of flying home.
Stop.
Not making this up. 36-year-old Anita Singh, he was arrested on January 16th. Listen to this. What happened is that on October 19th, he flew, and he lives in Los Angeles. He's an LA kind of guy.
Okay.
He flies in from Los Angeles to Chicago's O'Hare International Airport. He flies in on October 19th. Now, remember, coronavirus has been going on for like 6-7 months by this point.
Yeah.
So pay attention. This gets really weird.
Okay.
As he's going through, he finds the lost ID badge of an airport worker, and he uses that, and he goes, I don't want to get out. I don't want to fly anywhere. I'm afraid of coronavirus.
Oh, my gosh.
He lives in a secure part of the Chicago O'Hare International Airport for 3 months, and no one knows about it.
This is so bizarre.
I mean, during the time of like TSA, 9/11, heightened security, dude, how do you live in an airport like Chicago O'Hare is a major airport? How do you live there for 3 months and no one is on to you?
Okay, here's the deal. I have had to stay in airports for a while.
Right.
Like there have been times where I have missed a flight. There has been a problem, and I'm like, why am I in this airport for 15 hours?
Yes, and you're stuck there.
I feel like I have a grasp on how to navigate that without it driving me mad.
3 months?
I can't stay in an airport for 3 months, yo. I just can't.
What happens? He lives there for 3 months. He got handouts from other passengers who felt bad for the guy and helped him out, but he was in the Chicago O'Hare International Airport for not one, not two, but 3 months from October 19th to January 16th when they finally arrested him. He's been charged with felony criminal trespass to a restricted area of airport and misdemeanor theft. He is barred from entering O'Hare Airport. His bail has been set at $1,000. But I'm still, my mind is blown on this. Like, how do you possibly do that? I thought with all the heightened security that we had now, that even if you find someone's airport swipe card, that someone's like, dude, after 3 months, they're not on to you. Who are you? You're still walking around the airport 3 months later?
What if he was just walking around much like in the movie Terminal? He didn't steal the swipe card and try and get in behind any of the behind the scenes stuff.
Right.
I mean, I guess if someone was, because he was really afraid of the coronavirus, he was trying to not be around people, which is why he stole the swipe card. But still at the same time, I'm like, dude, like it's an airport and you have a home in Los Angeles. Can't you get, like, what is the disconnect?
If you're afraid of the coronavirus, the last place you want to be is in the Chicago O'Hare International Airport on a daily basis for 90 days.
Well, like, you know, the movie Up in the Air.
Right.
Like, I love that part where he's like, I know how to get through security and do all this stuff quickly. Because you kind of want to get in and get out. It's an airport.
Yes.
Man, sometimes I wonder how people think about things. Like, this is just a whole level of, I don't know what to do. What should I do? I'll steal a swipe card and not get coronavirus. However, there may be some background to this now that I'm thinking of it. I don't know. Was there something politically going on? Like, because you know how a lot of people, I don't know. He seems like his name sounds foreign.
Yeah.
And so there have been some restrictions and stuff. Maybe he couldn't get out.
I don't know. Well, here's the problem I got. If you don't want to catch coronavirus, don't stay in an international airport. Go home.
I'm glad you came back to that because that's really the deal we're talking about here, isn't it? That's the worst place you want to be. Did you see the people on Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
That had no social distancing? Like it was like, what virus? Like,
COVID's happening. Yeah. Can we all just cram into a plane together? Forget it. That being said, that's just the travel nug we wanted to leave you. And hey, every single episode of Voca Vacay, we tried to leave you something that just goes, what the holy guacamole?
That was the guacamole, yeah.
Darn right it was. Wasn't nuggets, guacamole. That being said, hey, you know what? Check us out on vocavacay.com.
Yes, please.
And you can see all the action photos and stuff like that we've done. And you can also check us out on all the social media like the Facebook, the YouTube,
the tweeters,
the Instagrams.
We're on all the socials.
And remember, I tell you to vacation like it's your job.
And live vicariously through yourself.
Darn right. That's Marie over there.
That's Frank.
We'll catch you next time. So on behalf of Voca Vacay, love ya, miss ya, me, bye.
Don't forget to click subscribe. As always, hashtag Voca Vacay at Voca Vacay and visit vocavacay.com.